gut check. Who can stay off the brakes for the longest in that upper seat section under the fifth chair? It's completely fall line, it's extremely straight down, relatively smooth. The road is down bare rock, so not too many things to hit, but it is a gut check to stay off the brakes in that section. Which clearly is what Cole Pacino did, because he's sitting on the 240.
All right, down here with Miriam Nicole right now. Miriam, we haven't seen you race yet this year. Unfortunate injury 5 months ago.
Simon Kelly attempting to side here. Is he going to stop the clock under 3 minutes? Just goes over the 3 minute mark. 3:01:44 for Simon. So another bullet dodge there for Cole Pacino. And Trevor Boldy. This man could be a threat to Cole's time. So we're going to need to see him in sight if he's going to stay within the allotted time. Now it looks like another one dodged there for Cole as Trevor Boldy's trying to kick past the 249. Big sends there for Trevor as he gets on the pedals and puts it across the line. Stops at 256.95, that's really good enough for fifth. Fifth place currently, but no man is safe. We haven't seen Jake up in the hot seat in a while, but we do have a lot of fast riders. David Jono, French rider. Probably right around that long flat. Long busted gut wrench pedal section right now. We should see him coming into sight momentarily if he wants to challenge for that top time right now. Our Cole Pacino. The crowd is building here at the Canadian Open DH presented by iXS Pro Men. On track right now, David Jono, French rider, putting it down there, good enough for 8th spot currently. We're going to see if that's going to hold up. And a ton of fast time. 2:45 right now, sorry, 2:49 is the gold standard in the Pro Men's division. 2:49.39, that is the time to beat. Nobody has been able to take a piece out of that for a very long time. So it should be looking at Jake Newell. He is going to be close, but the time of Cole Pacino goes by. Jake Newell stops the clock and moves himself into second, 3.29 back. The Aussie rider, the first rider in quite a while that we've seen him touch the full time, but not quite enough to knock him off the top of the pile so far. Cole Pacino holding us down.
Since 2007, the Canadian Open DH track has been cranked to 11. Rough, dusty, and fully committed. In those 12 years, DH racing may have evolved, but the 1.7 kilometer and 335 meters of elevation loss down the mountain here in Whistler is still full on.
A winner, Tracy Hanna.
Tracy Hanna knows that challenge well. The 2018 Crankworx downhill champ is having what could be the best season of her career. First in Rotorua. First in Innsbruck. Can she keep the good times rolling and add another win to the 4 Canadian Open trophies she's got already? The odds appear to be stacked in her favor. For the men, the house has even odds on another 4-time Canadian Open winner, Troy Brosnan. But never, ever bet against Brooke McDonald when a championship is on the line. First in Rotorua and first in Innsbruck means the Kiwi is large and in charge of the Crankworx Downhill Championship standings. The race to 5 is on, and it all comes down to one run on a Sunday. The Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS, live and direct from Whistler, Canada.
All right, let's do this. The final day of competition for the entire 2019 Crankworx World Tour. And we're gonna do it with some downhill racing. Everybody loves downhill. There's no judges involved. It's all about the clock. It is as real as it gets. Of course, the downhill race here, a legendary race, the Canadian Open Downhill, presented by iXS. I'm your host, Cam McCall, alongside my good buddy here, Andrew Neethling. Andrew, you come from a World Cup racing background. So is this the event that you get the most excited about throughout the whole season, or what?
Well, it's easy to say, but I can't believe the season is almost finished. But we've got a great track. This is a historic track here. It is honestly World Cup level. It's incredibly raw, and I'm speaking to the riders, and they are really battling out there.
Crazy season out there so far. It's been deja vu, the first 2 stops between the men's category and the women's category. Winning both of the first 2 stops in 2019 for the men was Brooke McDonald. And man, did he ever do it with style. Back on that Mondraker, really seems to be working for him. He's back to top form, isn't he?
Well, Brooke McDonald, he came out swinging at the first round in Rotorua. Yes, it's like redemption for Brooke. He got back on that bike the previous year, and he's just followed up that speed and that form at the first round.
I love me some Brooke McDonald. Great guy to hang out with and ride with, but watching him ride, he is so aggressive, and this track is perfect for him. In Innsbruck, he followed it up with another gold.
I mean, this track played into his favor. Rough and raw at the top, and then there was quite a lot of pedaling and managing to hold speed at the bottom, taking another win. So that's 2 for 2 for Brooke in the Crankworx World Tour so far.
So can Brooke McDonald carry that momentum into Whistler? There's a guy who's been winning nonstop. He's been pretty unbeatable on this track, Troy Brosnan. And this is a look at our standings so far. Of course, if you win the first 2 stops of a 3-stop series, you're going to be leading those standings. So Brooke McDonald at the top of that. And we got some familiar faces on that list right there.
Yeah, we're not going to see the likes of Dean Lucas, but Ed Masters is here, and you spoke about it. Troy Brosnan, the race to 5. He's looking to 5-peat here. And he's a really confident rider on this track because he used to basically base himself in Whistler.
So when we talk about this 2019 downhill season, we're talking about Brooke McDonald. And this course, considering he's back in full form, is right up his alley. So I feel like it's appropriate to pair him with Pete Matthews from Whistler Bike Park for your GoPro course preview. Take a look.
Hey guys, I'm Brooke McDonald.
I'm Pete Matthews from the Trail Crew.
And we're here to take you down the Canadian Open presented by iXS for a downhill course preview.
All right, yeah buddy. Yeah buddy. He's already way faster than me. It's quite amazing how fast he can go. So we're coming in here. This is on Joyride, one of the trails open all the time in the park. This section here is a new bit that we cut this year. It's fresh, low and me super rough. Obviously, I'm going far slower than Brooke. Yeah, buddy. This bit here is pretty cool. A lot of line choice. See, the 2 lines are emerging. The high line here, bike park portion here. He's way faster than me. This is where it turns into more bike park style. Oh God. I am off the back here. This footage is great though. Right on, man. That was very scary. Well, sick. I was not ready for that. We got it though. Yeah. Thanks for waiting. No worries.
Yes, I love that. I mean, Pete Matthews, Pete Moss, he knows this Whistler Bike Park like the back of his hand. Such a great bike handler. But when you're following somebody like Brooke McDonald with all that physical stamina, how hard would that be to keep up? Come on.
Well, I don't think it's only the physical stamina. That is one of the fastest riders in the world, winner of the first 2 stops. Pete Matthews, great rider in his own right, and Brooke had no regard for trying to stay in the camera angle there. He was just basically having a fast practice run from what we could see.
So a taste of things to come from Brooke McDonald, but I talked about deja vu at the start of the show. Is this going to be deja vu all over again? First 2 stops in the men's category, Brooke McDonald won them both. First 2 stops in the women's category, check it out, Tracy Hanna won them both. She kicked off the season by winning Rotorua.
Well, Tracy Hanna said she changed up her training in the off-season and clearly paid off because she came out storming here with a win in the women's category. Now, another thing to note, it is the best season Tracy Hanna has ever had. She's notched up 2 World Cup wins as well as these 2 wins in the Crankworx World Tour.
And Tracy Hanna, she's got all that experience. She's been racing for so many years alongside her brother, of course, the legend, Mick Hanna. And then fast forward after Rotorua to Innsbruck, stop number 2 of the World Tour, and she repeated. Boom, another gold medal for Tracy Hanna. So right now, we find ourselves in this situation where she's been so dominant on this course, very similar to the dominance of Troy Brosnan on this Canadian Open downhill course. And Tracy Hanna looking to get her 5th win out here. We want to hear from her, so let's send it down to Tristan Merrick, who's standing by.
Well, I'm down here in the corral right now with Tracy Hanna. Tracy, you're on the verge of going for the 4-peat here in the Canadian Open DH. And talk to me, the track conditions may be a little different than we're used to seeing here this time of year at Crankworx Whistler.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of rained off on and off since we've been here, and the track is probably in the best condition that I've seen it in a good few years. It's like, except for a bit of dust at the finish, it's running pretty much perfect.
Obviously, if you do take the win today, it actually is your 5th win as well within the Canadian Open DH. I mean, talk to me how important it is with the Crankworx World Tour, all these races and everything coming together for you this season.
Yeah, it's been one of my best seasons, like World Cup and Crankworx wise, that I've ever had, and it's like super cool to have, you know, a pretty good season, and it'll be awesome to take the win again today. I mean, it's one of my favorite tracks, and it's definitely one of my favorite events all year, so it's kind of really nice and prestigious for me to win here, so it's definitely the goal today.
Well, we're gonna have to wait and see if Tracy Hanna can pull that feat off later on when she gets on track there, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Tristan. Very excited to see if Tracy Hanna can go 2016, 17, 18, and 19, but she's won it once before, and so that would make it 5 wins here on this course. But look at the Queen of Crankworx overall standings right now. Via Verbeek at the top of that list. She locked that up just a couple nights ago. She has been on a tear all season. 631 points to her name. We caught up with her earlier, and she had this to say. Take a look.
Winning Queen of Crankworx entails spending a lot of time training on all bikes and feeling really good on all bikes. But it's not just about being ready in all sorts of disciplines, it's also dealing with the marathon that the week of Crankworx is. That, I think, is the biggest part. And the Whistler one is the longest one, and you really realize that the pace is catching up. I like to approach it with a light mind and just not put too much stress on it and just try to enjoy it and having a good time. Like, I don't want to get it too serious with it because that doesn't usually pay off for me. Putting it all together is hard work.
Well, Via Verbeek came out swinging at stop number 1. She collected points all the way through, and she was able to lock that up even before points were rewarded here for the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS. Very, very impressive. Now, if you think back just a year ago, a downhill racer was able to win the king overall standings, Sam Blankensop. That was impressive. You know, you never know what discipline a rider will come from to win that king overall standing, but it was Sam Blankensop last year. Take a look at how he did it.
Let's listen to the season he's had. First in Rotorua DH, first in Redwoods DH, second in Innsbruck, fifth in Leger, third in Garbo, fourth in Air DH. Just a man on fire. Coming to the European event on his own account. He bet on himself, Cam. That's just confidence right there.
We're talking about the man who's in the lead of the King of Crankworx right now. Out of New Zealand, Sam Blankensop.
The famous style of Sam Blankensop. So much body English, pedaling wherever he can. Heading in the air, Sam Blankensop bringing it home.
King of Crankworx, Sam Blankensop.
So that's how Sam Blankensop won the King title in 2018. But in 2019, you know, when it all came to fruition, it was all about Mitch Ropelato. And this is an unlikely story because he wasn't the leader coming in to the final stop here in Whistler, but he had to just be absolutely dominant. He had to change his strategy, compete in absolutely every event that he could. And this is what he had to say about his path to the top.
The goal shifted. I'm going to do Air DH, Garbo, dual slalom, Canadian, put everything I got into them, do really good, and then I'm done. And then now I'm like, points are pretty tight. I could use every point. Like, if I win that, that'll be pretty cool.
Jeez Louise. So he was thinking, you know what, I got to put all this into it. We've seen him in speed and style before, and he's always a rider we hope to see sign up for that, but he doesn't do it unless all the pressure's on. So the way things started with the week encouraged him to sign up for as many events as possible. Dual slalom, early on, he's already at this point won the Garbanzo downhill. Guess what he did in dual slalom, Andrew?
Well, it's an easy guess. He went out and won that event.
And then he decided to sign up for speed and style, an event he's competed in the past, but not an event that you'd expect him to win. He wasn't on anybody's fantasy picks until he qualified first, and then guess what he did? He went on to win the event. Now, he had second in the Air DH as well, so just a scorcher of a week for Mitch Ropelato, and just like Via Verbeek, before the week's festivities and events had concluded, he's locked up the King of Crankworx title. Now, talking about the women's Crankworx downhill overall standings, we got to take a look at that because there's an ever-evolving story there to find out who's going to lock up that series. Not an easy task for whoever's going to pull it off, but this is what it looks like at this point right now. Tracy Hanna winning the first two. Of course, she's looking good, but if Camille Balanche was able to win, she would pick up 100 points. That would give her 220. It would take Tracy Hanna not picking up any points here for Camille Balanche to eclipse Tracy Hanna. So a lot of pressure on Tracy right now to give it her all to make it 4 wins in a row and add that hash mark through the 4 vertical lines on her tally of wins here. She's looking for 5. Troy Brosnan's looking for 5 in a row. So a lot of opportunities for some of these top riders to make history out here, Andrew.
Well, we've got a stacked field in the women's field. Let's not forget, there's people coming back from injury. Miriam Nicole on a good day can beat Tracy Hanna, so we'll see how fit she is. She's only got 10 days on the bike, so it is going to be a challenge for her. But Tracy Hanna, it's basically hers to lose.
It's in her blood, though. Racing, you talk about Mick Hanna, Tracy Hanna, it is their life. And they practice together, train together. We talked to them about the process of downhill racing, and they had this to say. Check it out.
Downhilling looks wild on the outside, but when we're riding well, it's super calm. Think about any given moment in your day, your mind's dealing with a million different things at once. But when we're in the zone on the downhill bike, you're literally just thinking about what you're looking at 10 feet or 20 feet ahead of you.
So when I go training, I'm trying to find that zone and train my subconscious in that feeling so that when I'm at a race, I might not be 100%, I might not be feeling in the zone, but I can pretend to myself that I am. And I'm going to give you an example. With suspension, like we'll do a run, like, man, that felt so good. You go up, change something, do the time like could feel rough. Get to the bottom lap, that was terrible, 5 seconds faster. You can't trust the nice feeling. You have to push yourself.
And this is my 18th professional season. You see everybody's videos come out and like posting Instagram photos in the gym and all this stuff, and it's like, man, everyone's gonna be so fast this year. And then you get to the race, like, they haven't just suddenly jumped up, and every year I'm still afraid that that's gonna happen because everyone's videos look cool.
I mean, you can almost say there's not that many bad times. Like, it's mostly good times. Riding, we get to travel the world, we get to race, we get to see people that are like-minded. Like, when do you see hundreds of people that are like-minded, that talk about the same things you want to talk about, love the same things you love, are passionate about the same things you're passionate about? And I mean, that's a Crankworx thing. That's bringing people that are passionate about a sport that we all love and just bringing a community together to hang out, and that's the good side.
Now, come on, Andrew. That family has it down to a science. One thing that really jumped out at me right there is she said, you can't trust the good feeling. You got to trust what's really working. The clock never lies, right?
No, and on that point, this track is rough. It is in the best condition it's been technically, but I'm telling you now, it doesn't feel good to go fast on it.
So really excited to see all our competitors out there, especially Tracy and Mick Hanna. This is the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS. Don't go away.
Experience the all-new Trigger FF. The lightest mountain bike full-face helmet available. Combines open-face breathability and ventilation. The Trigger FF. Lightweight full-face protection. Available in stores around the world.
Crankworx Ram, the power of bicycles. Now, we talk about this a lot. We call Whistler, British Columbia the birthplace of the Crankworx series. But where is Whistler, British Columbia? If you were to zoom in from satellite view, we'd be hanging out on top of America. America's hat there, Canada. Love this country and this province in particular, British Columbia. All the way on the west coast, they got ocean, they got mountains, and they got mountains to ride your bike down. Crankworx Festival, birthplace right here. And there's so much to do here. Aside from competition, even if you're not a bike racer, there's plenty to get involved with. Check out how photographer Peter Jameson was able to get involved with the Deep Summer Photo Challenge.
Today is August 11th, 2019, the final day of the Deep Summer Photo Challenge. So for my slideshow, I decided to focus on the experiences that I had in Whistler in 2018, which was my first time really on the West Coast. I just kind of wanted to recreate those same experiences, hang out with my friends, have a good time, and hopefully inspire some people. This is the van, and I've been living in it roughly full time since June of last year. The Deep Summer, it's a 72-hour photo challenge that Crankworx puts on in Whistler and Rotorua every year, and they choose 5 photographers and 1 wild card, and they give them 3 days to go and shoot and put together a slideshow with their friends, and it gets displayed in the Olympic Plaza.
We're in Blackcomb, Whistler right now, riding A-Bud. Trail is absolutely unreal, pretty techy, rooty, rocky, typical Canadian feel. Really pumped to be here.
Whistler is so special for me because it was like my first trip really out west. Never really experienced all the rock slabs and just insane terrain out here. Coming from the East Coast, like there aren't trails this gnarly that are just easily accessible.
Oh my gosh, absolute animal.
Vibe in Whistler, ooh. I definitely say the vibe in Whistler is just super positive, like so many good friends around, everyone's riding, having a good time.
You can go to the park completely alone and then you meet up with about 5 or 10 buddies and you're basically not really alone if you're in Whistler.
I think my favorite trail to shoot on, particularly this past 3 days for Deep Summer, has been D1. There are like some nice pockets in the trees and Garrett was wearing a white t-shirt and the light fall was just like pretty harsh and nice. So really enjoyed shooting that trail, and it's also my favorite trail in the bike park to ride.
Favorite trail has got to be Dirt Merchant. Ridden it all day, every single day since I've been here, so hands down Dirt Merchant.
Yeah.
That one's real tight.
It is still the beginning of Crankworx. Today is the last day for Deep Summer, but none of the real events have kind of kicked off, so I'll be able to enjoy the sea to sky for the upcoming week. And then I'm back to Vernon for the rest of the fall, but definitely hope to come back either later this fall and definitely next summer I'll be enjoying some more time throughout Squamish, Pemberton, and Whistler. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's what's up. Aside from being the home of Crankworx, it's also just the epicenter for all excitement in the mountain bike world. Look at the scenery Peter Jameson was able to capture. And then once the week gets a little bit later and we start getting into events, there's an event for every type of rider. One really exciting event is the official Whip-Off World Championships presented by Spank. It takes place on Crabapple. These jumps just seem to get bigger and bigger every year. Winner takes all, best whip takes a world championship.
Yeah, and I think the whips get more and more sideways as well, and I think the competitors are getting younger and younger. I mean, Cade Edwards, he's just gone elite. He would manage to take out the win. His buddy Chaos took the win in Innsbruck. What a cool event.
Yeah, it's cool, man. They call it the official whip-off because for so long it was an unofficial contest. It's all about just style, expression, hanging out that back wheel as far as you can. It's similar, if you know snowboarding, to like a method air contest or something. This is like a core sample of what bike riding is all about. Everybody loves the whip. You can see all the 1080s and slopestyle you want, but somehow a whip will never get old. So Cade Edwards able to take the win in that for 2019. But when it comes to our main focus for this afternoon, the Canadian Open Downhill, this is what our start list looks like for your women's category. Kicking it off with some young talent who seems to just be unstoppable these days.
Well, that is an interesting addition to our start list there. Valentina Hall is a junior, but she's entered in the elite category. At least we're going to see her here today. Via Verbeek, no pressure for her. She's wrapped up the Queen of Crankworx title. And then there you have it, Tracy Hanna. It's basically all hers to lose.
Well, speaking of Tracy Hanna, the woman who has won it the last 3 times, but she's won it once before that. That took place in 2014. That 2015 is the only thing that broke her streak, but right now if she wins, she'll make it a 4-peat, but a 5 all in all. But speaking about streaks, Troy Brosnan has won it the last 4 years. So he's also looking to win 5, but he's looking to make it 5 in a row, kicking off that streak of perfection all the way back in 2015 on this Canadian Open downhill track. Now Troy Brosnan, of course, will be the climax to our racing action here today, dropping last for the men's category, but we'll start off our broadcast coverage like this.
Got a great field. Bass Van Steving will open our coverage. Bruce Klein. We've got Mitch Ropelato, fresh off the King of Crankworx win. Keegan Wright from the EWS. We've got a really, really broad variety of riders from a host of different countries. And then near the tail end of it, like you said, Brendan Faircloth is here. He's on form again. Sam Blenkinsop, Mick Hanna. The list goes on. And let's look down the bottom. The matchup between Brooke McDonald and Troy Brosnan, the last 2 men to drop.
So a lot of heavy hitters from the Southern Hemisphere out there, but you know all the local fans are going to be rooting for Mark Wallace. But speaking about those Southern Hemisphere competitors, Tristan Merrick is standing by with Brooke McDonald.
Well, down here in the finish corral right now with Brooke McDonald. Brooke, it's been a couple years since we've seen you here at Canadian Open DH, and obviously this track has evolved a little bit. How has your practice been going so far this week?
Yeah, it's been really good. I feel like I'm getting more comfortable each run, and yeah, I don't feel 110% for finals. I still have a little bit of confidence there, but I mean, it's definitely going to be a tough one to beat Troy and the local boys, but I'll definitely give it a good crack.
Well, obviously, Crankworx World Tour wrapping up, and you've been on a roll this year. Rotorua, then Innsbruck, taking the wins there. Obviously, you're in a position right now where, Troy's coming in, going for that 5-peat. You've got a bit of confidence. I mean, are you going to push for that full win here and try and sweep the series?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I always say to myself, I take these races pretty mellow, but when I'm in the start hut and it's that final run, I'm always going to push myself pretty hard. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to push and try to take the 3-peat.
Well, we're going to let Brooke get back up there right now. Again, a best of luck to him. He's trying to sweep the series here, but again, Troy Brosnan will be coming up, and we'll see if he can get that 5-peat.
Thank you, Tristan Merritt. Great to hear from Brooke McDonald right there, on fire this season. When it comes to fantasy downhill, you kind of got to put him on your team. I know he's $245,000, but when I was building my team, I put Brooke McDonald on there. Also, Troy Brosnan, a lot of money, $450,000, but he's won the last 4 years, so I'd be a fool not to. But I'm a big fan of Brendan Fairclough. All the style in the world. He didn't cost me that much, 140 grand. I'm feeling pretty good about my team, Andrew. What do you think about the team I've assembled here?
Yeah, I think it's a good team. Brendan Fairclough is back on form. Obviously, he's a buddy of mine, but I mean, look at Troy Brosnan, look at Brooke McDonald. You've got those 2 heavy hitters on there.
Okay, so I've built my team. I put my neck out there. I want to put you on the spot a little bit and make you create some predictions. This is a little segment we like to call one guarantee and one surprise. If you had to pick one guarantee prediction, what would it be?
Well, it's a lofty one, but I'm going to guarantee that there's going to be an all-Southern Hemisphere podium. We've got Troy, we've got Brooke, and all those guys are looking quick, so I'm hoping they can clean sweep the podium.
So look for guys like Brendan Fairclough and Mark Wallace to be the spoiler of that right here. Now I want you to make a prediction for what may surprise us today.
Well, Miriam Nicole, we spoke about it. She's back from injury, only 10 days on the bike, but I have a good feeling she can still put it on the podium.
I like it. Now, we're going to have to wait and see how things transpire here. We're either going to be slapping high fives and celebrating your predictions, or I'll give you a hard time for it not really panning out. But you know what's exciting? I'll tell you what. Right now, the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS is kicking off. Here it goes.
Jill Kittner stomps her authority once again.
Nikolai Rogakin wins the Triple Crown of slopestyle. The king of Crankworx, Sam Blankensob. Yeah, baby, it's on. Final day of competition out here at Crankworx Whistler 2019. It's the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS. Yesterday was all about doing it for the judges. Today, it's all about doing it for the clock. The clock does not lie. A look at our start list here for the Canadian Open Downhill women's category. Now, Valentina Hall, she's been slaying it in the junior category, and you always compare her times, try to figure out where she would be in elite, because that will be reality eventually when she turns 18. It'll be cool to see her dropping in against this elite women's field, won't it?
Well, she has put some times at a World Cup, the previous one, maybe a little bit different conditions, but it was faster than all the elite women. So she is capable of beating everyone here today.
Oh, that's exciting. You know, the women's category and all these different events have just been progressing at such a rapid rate. It's great to see. We even had speed and style for the ladies a couple days ago.
Well, that we did. It was great to see. They did a time trial format, kind of like a test event, but they were sending those jumps.
So in the spirit of being excited about the women's category, just building, watching these fast juniors, we have a pre-runner to kick off racing action out there today. This is Millie Jonseth. She's from Norway. She's representing Atherton Bikes out here, and she's going to give us a taste of what the future might hold for the women's category and a look at what this course is all about here in our Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS.
Well, Cam, we spoke a lot about Valentina Hall at the top of the show, but I mean, Millie Johnson has come off a first at Val d'Isère in the junior category, so she has managed to beat Valley. So this is another young prospect with a bright future in our sport. Aboard that Atherton Bikes, we'll speak more about that later with G. Atherton in our men's field.
Well, it's exciting to see a taste of what the future holds in the form of a young competitor capable of winning the junior category at a World Cup. It's also to see, this is pretty cool, Atherton Bikes, a new project for that family this year. It's great to see them farming up some younger riders.
Yeah, in her second year in the junior category, it's great to see her here at Crankworx. We haven't seen much of her at any of the events before. So Millie Johnson, the Norwegian, ow, and she is up as a junior, just crushing the field here. She's 26 seconds up. Let's not hold our breath. We'll just check if that's even possible before we get too excited here.
So the hot seat right now, hanging out there, is Cassie Voicey. And Millie Johnson, our pre-runner right now. A junior racer all the way from Norway.
So coming into the finish here, little case here, but these are some big jumps for the ladies to navigate. And in the junior, it was right. She's 29 seconds up. That's first position for Millie Johnson here at the Crankworx Downhill.
So that's a taste of what the top of the junior women's category looks like. I mean, she's pretty much got a stranglehold on that right now. So very impressive. We can't wait to see her when she turns elite. But let's now focus our attention on the current. Here it is, dropping in as our first racer in the elite women's category. She's flying those rainbow stripes because she's the junior world champion. I'm talking about Valentina Hall out of Austria.
And the hype is real with this lady. This could be the fastest run of the day that we witness here, Cam. Valley Hall. Like we said, she's put the fastest time of the day at a World Cup before in a little bit different conditions.
So, Casey Brown from Canada currently occupying that hot seat with a time of 2:37.62. Oh, that's just a split time right there, of course. So, look at this. This is close. Valentina Hall, 0.7 ahead of Casey Brown right now at our split.
So nothing in it here. Cam, this lady has done upwards of 53 international races, and she's only a junior. So she's got amazing experience, a lot of racing, and she's blowing the time away there. 3.33 up now.
So over 3 seconds ahead of Casey Brown's top time right now. Barring any mistake, we got to expect to see the junior world champion Valentina Hall rocket shipping herself into the hot seat here. Only a couple turns to go.
She managed a perfect World Cup season last year in the junior women's category. That is an amazing feat for anyone to do. It doesn't matter how fast you are, how weak the competition is, just to have everything go right. So she's going to smash the time here.
Yeah.
3 seconds up.
The future may be right now, even though she may not be 18 yet. Just a glimpse into the impact she's going to have when she enters that elite women field. Valley Hall into the hot seat.
What an exciting start to the racing here, Cam. We're already seeing some fast times, big names dropping in here. Valley Hall as a junior, but in the elite category.
So we love downhill racing and we love the Crankworx World Tour. This next racer has competed in so many different disciplines throughout the 3 stops of this 2019 season, enough that she was able to be crowned Queen of Crankworx, but she's got more business right now on the Canadian Open Downhill. This is Via Verbeek.
So maybe riding with a little less pressure now. She's locked up the Queen of Crankworx. It's got to feel so good. It's a relief, all the hard work. So 1.39 back. She's within touch here though, Cam. She's got to navigate these tricky, rooty steps here. She was making her way down this off camber, and then it's on to more of the motorway in the jump section.
You know, the interesting thing about watching Valley Hall come down is we're usually comparing her times at a World Cup against the elite women's field, but she's dropping in at a different time. So this is a very level playing field, similar track conditions out there that she'll be comparing her times against these top women. Right now, Via Verbeek was 1.39 behind Valley Hall at the first split.
So let's see what the next split will tell us. Has Via drawn any time back? Looks like she's dripping time here. 4 seconds back, almost 5 actually. So Via Verbeek was 3rd year last year. She was 2nd the year before. So as much as she's been an all-round rider to win that Queen of Crankworx title, she does come from a downhill background.
So Via Verbeek, your 2019 Queen of Crankworx, already locked that up at our pump track race just a few nights ago, looking to get a podium here in the Canadian Open Downhill. She's going to be off the top time, but where will this put her in the results list? Through the finish line, currently 3rd place, 4.9 back behind Valley Hall. Now this will get interesting. If we look back at some highlights from Via Verbeek, take a look at some of these skills that helped her out on her quest for the Queen crown.
I didn't even pull.
These women are looking pretty comfortable.
Celebrating right there, the end of her 2019 season. It's been a long one, but look at this. The Canadian fans lining this course are going to be cheering their heads off for Miranda Miller.
Miranda may be focusing on EWS now, but let's not forget, this is the former world downhill champion in 2017 in Cannes. She took that title. She's obviously up for a new challenge, so 5 seconds back. That's understandable. She hasn't been putting much time in on a downhill bike, but it's great to see her in the downhill field, coming away from the EWS circuit for a little bit.
Really just highlighting how smashing that run was from Valley Hall.
Exactly. She is the 2017 downhill world champion aboard that Kona factory racing machine there. She did take 3rd in the national champs, so she's been putting a little bit of time, but nothing compared to someone like Valley Hall.
So Miranda Miller, the 2017 world champ, 8.93 behind the 2018 reigning world champ from the junior category. So I would say Valley Hall is going to be able to dodge another bullet here.
So Valley Hall's middle sector was incredibly fast, navigating those steep and rough rooty sections with ease there.
Now that's obviously highlighting her strength. That's the great part about downhill racing. We have the split times. We're able to see where your hot seat racer is able to pick up that time, and it really is in the trees for Valley Hall, wasn't it?
It was. It seems like a little bit of a problem for Miranda. Potentially a flat tire or something, opting not to jump those jumps.
So
not
Miranda
sure what the
Miller
problem was.
looking to have a flat tire through the finish line. She will be off the back on our results list right now, but we take a look at our current leader, Valley Hall, flying those rainbow stripes for the junior category. Let's see how many of these bullets she'll be able to dodge. The next rider with an opportunity to dethrone Valley out of that hot seat will be Camila Noguera. Now, Camila Noguera, definitely some results to speak of.
So hailing from Argentina, racing mainly in North America the last 2 years, but 5th place here last year. So she has some experience on this course, she has some speed. So she's 3.5 back already, and this is seemingly where Valley really put the heater on. Hailing from Austria, we know Valley will be able to ride roots, rocks, the steeps, up in those Alps. Did really well in Leogang. So Camilla looking to try to stay within touch with Valley's storming mid-sector.
Well, if this tells us something, it's that your 5th place finisher on the same course just a year ago with 4 competitors left behind the time of Valley Hall right now. So that gives us a little inclination in the sense that this time from Valley Hall may hold up for a little bit. 4 more bullets to dodge after Camilla Nogueira.
Yeah, this will be nerve-wracking and stressful for the top ladies at the top. So it's hot and drier, but Cam, all the riders have said it's probably the most moisture they've seen in the track all time. It's normally dry, it's dusty, it's just as rough, but what's nice is they've got better vision during practice. There's actually a little bit more traction. The low speed on the bike, they've actually increased that a bit to try and maintain some of their speed. Now, they're not only looking for traction because the moisture can help with that.
Well, another rider through the line, not able to dethrone Valley Hall. Let's take a look at who we have coming up next. Oh, this will be good. Next rider who will be lining up in the start gate right now from France, Myriam Nicole.
Well, we spoke about it. She's back from injury, and she's just excited to be back on her bike. She's only spent 10 days on it, but it was expected that she wouldn't even return this year to racing. So Myriam Nicole, former winner, and look at that, 3.42 up already. And she is no slouch. The gnarlier it gets, the more she can handle it. So Myriam Nicole, maybe keeping those cards a bit close to her chest, because she said she was just excited to be back on her bike. She'll see what it's like. She's preparing for world champs. But this just shows her skill set.
Just think about how raw and rugged this course is, how hard it would be on the part of her body that she's still rehabbing. Like you said, only 10 days back on the bike, but it was an ankle injury. We saw a photo earlier today of the incision mark from the surgery. Look at that, 2.59 up still.
So she's maintained the lead, but she has lost a bit of time, but we knew that. Valley Hall was so quick in the steep, rooty section. But Myriam Nicole clearly wanting to send a statement to Valley. You know what? Your time is not yet. I'm coming back from injury.
So Myriam Nicole up at the final split ahead of Valentina Hall. Looks like she's smooth in this final section. She's got some breathing room here. It looks like we're going to have a new leader.
But she's losing time by not doing those jumps, Cam.
Wow.
I don't think it's going to be enough.
How did that happen? 3/100th of a second back for Myriam Nicole. What in the world happened? She decided not to hit those jumps, maybe in case she cased?
Yeah, she spoke to me and she said, you know, that her foot and her ankle is really still sore when she cases jumps. She said the Hector's Rock really hurts her ankle. Potentially up on course, she's already cased something. And you know what? She's playing it safe. So incredible ride from her up top, but unfortunately playing it safe, clearly due to the injury, and that's where she's lost her time.
Wow, Myriam Nicole, 3/100ths of a second, the blink of an eye behind Valentina Hall, and Valentina Hall is still your current leader. So, we have our next rider in the gate out of Australia, Cyan Ahern. Will she have what it takes to knock out Valley Hall?
New to our Crankworx events, the 2019 Oceanic Continental Champ, multiple World Cup top 10s. She is back, Cam, 4.83, so Valley Hall's time is looking safe. This is, again, the trickiest part of the track that we see on camera here. It's rooty, it's rocky, it's off camber, there are holes everywhere. It's difficult to hold your line and carry speed.
The craziest part about this right now, as we see rider after rider come down in the red, we had a rider in the green, Myriam Nicole. The decision not to jump those jumps, probably a smart one physically in case she were to come up short with that ankle. But wow, she was going to roll into the hot seat. All she needed to do was hit those jumps. 3/100ths of a second, the tiniest of margins separating first and second place right now.
So a story we keep telling you. These riders are losing more and more time from sector 1 here to sector 2. Then we're into the bike park area, we're into the boneyard. So Valley has guaranteed herself a podium here. So that already, if it's stopped now and the next two riders beat her, great result. Sion trying to amass a result here. We haven't seen her at any of our Crankworx events before. So how can she open up her career at Crankworx here today?
So Sion Ahern approaching the finish line is not going to be enough to take the top spot. Where will she land on our leaderboard? 5th place so far for the Australian racer.
Very respectable finish. So there you have it, our current hot seat leader. Those two, Miriam Nicole, relieved, I think, to get a race run under her belt before World Champs. Casey Brown, Valley Hall, these are some really big names in the women field.
So Valley Hall, your current leader, guaranteed a podium finish out here today. With 2 racers left to go, let's take a look back at the run that earned her the top time so far.
Well, this is where she managed to hold way more speed than the other ladies. Composed on her bike, really stable as well. That section is incredibly steep, Cam. It doesn't show it on the camera view at all.
Aggressive, strong.
One of the best bike handlers and jumpers in the women's field, and it showed there by doing the jumps, Miriam Nicole opting not to, and that was the big difference.
We'll be talking about Valentina Hall for a long time. It's exciting to see her squaring up face-to-face against this elite women's field. We have 2 more competitors to go. Excited to see our next competitor in the gate, the Swiss racer. 2 more competitors with the chance to win here today in the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS. You're next up in the gate, Emily Siegenthaler.
A fun-loving Swiss rider on Pivot Factory Racing, coming off a 3rd place in the Lenzerheide World Cup. She's had multiple Crankworx podiums, but she hasn't quite cracked the win. So can this be her breakout win today? What will the time tell us? It looks like she's going to be behind here, coming into the first split. 2 seconds back, Emily Siegenthaler. Incredibly good, especially when it's wet, when it's slippery, hailing from Switzerland. So Emily Siegenthaler looks like she's a little bit sluggish there compared to Valley Hall, who was incredibly quick here in the steep rooty sections in Crankworx. So Emily Siegenthaler, she's coming up to split 2. Will she be able to hang on to that deficit there, or will Valley Hall's run just blow it apart? She's losing more time, Cam. That's exactly what's happening to all these competitors. So 4 seconds back into the bike box. So Valley Hall is looking to dodge another bullet here.
Valuable time ticking away here for our second to last competitor in the women's category, Emily Siegenthaler. Where will she land?
So Emily Siegenthaler, hot off a World Cup podium, but here drifting a little bit back compared to Valley Hall, and casing that jump, so she's going to lose more time. So she slots into 5th position, a little bit of a disappointing finish for her. She's been higher here before, so 6 seconds back.
Well, exciting times right now. Let's first digest this run from Emily Siegenthaler. Valley Hall so strong in that middle section of the course. When you see a rider come through at the beginning, down by a couple seconds, you kind of know, considering how strong Valley Hall was in the middle, it's going to be a tough task to upset that time.
So Emily Siegenthaler, you can see the bike really getting unsettled though. So some of her braking points were not at the correct position. She's kind of getting the back getting bucked up, and that is not really helping her maintain a lot of forward momentum. So you can see her dropping in here, locking the back wheel. That often stops the suspension from working as good as it wants to down this section, and that's key. You can see her drifting a little bit wide there actually before the left-hander.
Diving herself accidentally inside on that left-hander. So, 1 competitor left to go here. The race to 5 is on. Will Tracy Hanna be able to win 5 of these things? We're about to find out. She's our final competitor in the gate right now. Tracy Hanna, she won it in 2016, 2017, and last year, 2018. Can she do 4 in a row, making it 5 total? She is on course.
And the experience is surely paying off. Our series leader here. What will the first split say? This is looking good, Cam. Yes, she's up. She's 3 seconds up. She's so fast on this course. Easy the season of her life. All that experience is just paying off here. So Tracy Hanna, I thought she might play a bit of damage control since she's leading the World Cup Series. She's got World Champs coming up, but she's so motivated for the win here, Cam.
Look at the face of Valley Hall right now going, oh boy, I want this win. Second place would be nice, but you know what? She's won so many times. That's why she's flying those rainbow colors. Tracy Hanna, we're looking for that next split.
But let's remember, Valley Hall was incredibly quick in that sector. Tracy Hanna looks to have lost some time. She's
close.
Only 0.96 up now. Valley Hall destroying all the ladies in the rooty steeps of this Crankworx Canadian Open. This is going to come down to the line, Cam. Can Valley Hall get her first elite win here as a junior?
Tracy Hanna, no stranger to winning this race here. Can she make it? 5 total. She's only 0.96 ahead. She needs an absolutely flawless bottom section.
The World Cup Series leader, the Crankworx Series leader, winner of round 1 and 2, Tracy Hanna, making her way down the final slopes here of the Crankworx World Tour. It's going to be so close, Cam.
The time to beat a 3:10. She does it! 3:10.39, just 0.6 ahead of Valley Hall. Tracy Hanna has done it. Wow, the 5th gold medal here in the Canadian Open downhill for Tracy Hanna, making history. What a tight race. Less than a second separating first and second place. Yeah, Andrew Needling, we gotta see some replays from this historic run.
Well, Tracy Hanna did all the hard work at the top. She came into the rooty steeps. She was up there. But this is where Valley Hall was just incredible. Holding a little bit more speed, a little bit less tentative than some of these other ladies. So Tracy Hanna was solid through here, but not as aggressive and smooth and attacking as Valley.
Guess what? She lost some time. What was she? A couple seconds up, and then she lost a second. That just really goes to show. It's like looking into the crystal ball. What will women's downhill be like in a short amount of time when Valley Hall is in the elite field? She picked up so much time on everybody in the middle, but Tracy Hanna knows this course like the back of her hand. She knew where she was strong and able to make up time, setting up further right than we saw Emily Siegenthaler, allowing her to carry the most exit speed out of this left-hander.
But Tracy Hanna continuing your incredible season here, barely taking the win here. But you know what? It doesn't matter, Cam. A win is a win, and it's on the history books.
What do we talk about? The fact that this is her 5th time here, or the fact that she swept this season? Let's hear from the horse's mouth. She's got to be excited, Tristan Merrick.
That's right, down here with Tracy Hanna. Tracy, we talked to you beforehand. 4 wins in a row now for the Canadian Open DH, 5 out of 6. Talk to me about how special today is for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's super special. It's the last race before World, so it was super important to get a bit of a confidence boost going into the next race, but stoked to get my 5th in a row. That's sick.
Obviously, you seem to thrive in this environment no matter what the season's been like. Is this just that little extra push to get through to the next little bit?
Yeah, the track's hard today, and I knew it was going to be close because there wasn't really any way you could slow down or go too much faster, so it was whoever had the more perfect of a perfect run, so yeah, it was good.
Well, you guys heard it right there. Again, a perfect run can come from Tracy Hanna winning her 4th consecutive Canadian Open DH win.
Thank you, Tristan. 5 total wins, sweeping the 2019 Crankworx Downhill Series. You got to know that means one thing, is she won the race, she won the overall, and she did it by only 0.6 seconds here in Whistler.
The slimmest of margins. As she said, there wasn't that much to separate because it's a little bit more one line this course, but Tracy Hanna did just enough.
So that's a wrap for the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS. Women's category, we got the same amount of action coming up for the men's. Don't go away, you're not going to want to miss it. Maxxis, the official tire of the Crankworx World Tour. Now you're going to need fast tires if you're going to be competing in the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS, because this is as raw and rugged as a downhill race course gets. So much history on this course. We just wrote in a little insert into the history books today, didn't we, with Tracy Hanna winning for the 5th time.
She's written a new chapter into the history books. Incredible for her. 5 wins here in total, 4 in a row. She handled all the pressure. It was basically hers to lose.
So she won the overall series for the 2019 Crankworx World Tour for the downhill racing. But we talk about this all the time. The king and queen of Crankworx hunt. What is that all about? Well, Crankworx World Tour is a 3-stop tour. We kick things off down in the Southern Hemisphere in New Zealand. At all of these stops, there's many, many different disciplines. The riders are allowed to sign up for as many or as little as they want, but just bear in mind that each discipline offers up many, many points, valuable points, because the queen and king get $25,000 at the end of the season. Last season, it was all about Sam Blanketsop. He walked away with the king's crown. Jill Kinder, she walked away with the queen's crown. But this year, it was a different story. Sam Blanketsop and Jill Kinder both diverting their plans for the year, and so it opened up the door for new competitors. For the men, Mitch Ropelato just completely scorched the competition, winning 3 events for the men. But for the women, it was all about Via Verbeek. And conveniently, our own Tristan Merrick is standing by with her right now. Tristan?
Oh, down here with Via Verbeek right now in the crawl. Obviously, a storybook season. You've got the sleeve, means you're Canadian National Downhill Champion and Queen of Crankworx. What did you do in this off-season to make this reality come true?
I had to work on the bikes that I was least comfortable on. So like the smaller the bike, the harder it is for me. So I had to really go back to the roots, which helps for everything else, really. Like it really helped my basics for every bike. Spend a lot of time on the bikes and just have a good time, because it's a lot of bike time. Yeah, and I can't believe it. There's been results like the slalom and stuff that was really surprising.
Truly a storybook season right there. We want to congratulate Via right now. Again, Queen of Crankworx Whistler and Queen of Crankworx World Tour right there, making it happen, guys.
Yeah, very impressive. Thanks for that report there, Tristan Merrick. Hey, this is a nice segue, isn't it? Right from our 2019 Queen of Crankworx, Via Verbeek. And we got her boyfriend up in the start gate to kick things off for our men's field, Bas van Steenbergen, on course.
And we know he would have played a role in that win. I mean, he's known more for his ADH type downhill. You can see by the split here, he's 7 seconds back. So potentially helping Via with some of her ADH, her slalom, her small bike skill. Mistake there from Bas. Trying to jump that hole, running a little bit wide there. So stylish from Bas van Steenbergen. Always mistaking him from Bas de Beaver there. Was an old rider from the Netherlands, winning some World Cups back in the day. But this is Bas van Steenbergen.
Now Bas van Steenbergen, 11.11 down. This just in. The hot seat time is currently held by Austin Warren, another competitor on our King of Crankworx series, competing in all these different disciplines. But downhill is definitely his main focus. So great to see him with that top time so far. Bas van Steenbergen not looking to be threatening that time of Austin Warren right now.
Yeah, so doing a lot of work with Hyper on their bikes, a little bit of a development there. My old teammate EC, the manager and bike developer there. So Bas van Steenbergen known more for his ADH, his small bike skill set, but overall great run for him, considering he's not always at the top of the downhill field.
So a look at where we sit so far in our men's category. We touched on this a little bit. Austin Warren with that time of 2:46.76, but only 1/100th of a second back Elliot Jackson. So tight times out there at the moment. But next, this is the American Bruce Klein.
So Bruce having a little bit of a tough year to his standards, but he had a big result, almost a breakout result here in 2017. He took 3rd in the Canadian Open. A new line there from Bruce, and that was flawless as well. So clearly confident. He's 3.65 up, holding the high line there as well. That bike is holding the ground incredibly well there. So Bruce Klein, no surprise here. He has a bronze medal from this race in 2017. He's up on Austin Warren. What will the time tell us here at the next split?
Now this is the approach you see doing well out here on this course. This full pinned, no holds barred approach, so aggressive. 5.87 up now.
And he's 6 kilometers faster than Bass was, and you can see why. He's increased that gap. He's over 5 seconds up. And like you said, you've got to attack. You can't be hesitant, and you'll just get kind of unstuck by those bumps, Cam. They really just sap your energy and speed.
If you have the physical endurance to just go full pin this whole course, almost 3 minutes worth, it will pay off. Let's see. Oh yeah, he's going to go into the lead through the finish line with a time of 2:40.5. This is your new leader, 6.26 ahead.
That is a big run. 6 seconds on Austin Warren. Look at this. Wow.
Gap
so
in.
opting to gap, to miss some of the holes. The bike working well. This is another one. He opts to gap the big hole up high there, holding good momentum. Flawless riding from him. And like you said, Cam, just aggressive.
Well, that is quite the statement there, smashing the time of Austin Warren by 6.26 seconds. How long will this last? We have such a deep field here in our men's elite division. But oh boy, look who we got next. The 2019 King of Crankworx, crowned just 2 nights ago, will be your next rider on course, Mitch Ropelato.
An incredible 3 wins just at this Crankworx stop here in Whistler. Taking the Garbo, taking the slalom, and taking the speed and style. So looking to be back here, Bruce Klein. What a run by him. A huge 13-second back, so not the best run from Mitch just yet. And you can see it visually compared to Bruce. The commitment, the aggression from Bruce. Almost night and day difference to what Mitch is being able to do here.
With 13 seconds back already by the guy who won the Garbanzo downhill just a week ago, you got to think that he may have had an issue before we picked him up on camera.
I mean, it's a long, draining week, mentally as well as physically. Number one, doing all those events. Number two, withstanding all the pressure that you've put on yourself, knowing that you literally have to go out and podium or win a lot of them to have any fighting chance.
And he did. 4 podiums, 3 wins already in the last 7 days worth of time. It's been a heck of a week for the 2019 King of Crankworx, Mitch Ropelato.
Yeah, so not a huge amount of aggression from Mitch Ropelato. He'll be physically drained. Maybe a mistake up top as well. It doesn't look like he's throwing it all on the line here today. But the job is done from your King of Crankworx 2019. Let's bring him home, Mitch Ropelato.
The Crankworx season comes to a close for Mitch Ropelato. It's guaranteed to be one that he'll look back on for a long time. Mitch Ropelato not going to scratch the podium and make it 5 podiums this year at Whistler. But he'll be able to celebrate for a long time now. We'll be talking about him all next season as we start to tally up points for the 2020 King of Crankworx. Hopefully he shows back up to try to defend that crown. Can you hear what he's saying, Andrew?
No, I missed that one. Did you?
I think he's talking about one specific spot on the course where maybe he accidentally took the wrong line.
Give it up, bud.
So big run. No surprise, he was fast here. 2017, not the best result last year. Clearly is fond of this track. His riding style, the aggression has paid off so far, so he's your current hot seat.
Elliot's comfy. Elliot's like, yeah, I'm gonna stay here for a while. I'm gonna be here for a minute.
So, looking at my start list right now, we were supposed to be seeing Keegan right next, waiting for an update on that. Who we'll see next in our start gate, who will be the next competitor to try to unseat Bruce Klein. So right now, the top spot held by Bruce Klein. His run looked like this. So aggressive, Andrew.
So aggressive. Those are creative lines as well. We haven't seen someone hop there on the inside, straightening out this course. And again there, choosing aggression and speed to just keep on top of the bumps as much as he can, and it's really paid off for him.
Just attacking this Canadian Open downhill course Now we still have a lot of riders to go. How long will this time hold up? Now his gap, it looked like when he crossed the finish line, it was about 5.87 now. We're seeing this on our official timing and scoring sheet. A look back at the run for Bruce Klein, but Tristan Merrick is standing with our current leader. Tristan?
Well, that's right, guys. For the trained viewer out there, Bruce Klein, you had a breakout in 2017 here. What does this track bring to your game, and why is it so special?
Yeah, man, this track's a good one. It's pretty tight in the trees, but still super fast and rowdy. So it's a good track, and I just enjoy riding it.
Obviously, we caught something we haven't seen before, a new line in that wooded section, jumping in the middle roots. What was that all about?
Yeah, there's two options in there, and I just decided to hook the inside, and there's some roots I don't like, so I figured I'd just jump over them. But
seems simple enough as it is. Obviously, we got to put you on the spot. Do you think you did enough to stay up in that podium position?
I'm not sure. I'd like to say yes, but these boys are all going super fast, and I'm not positive that's the top time, but hopefully we'll be on the podium today.
Nice. Well, guys, back up to you. Bruce Klein breaking down the fact that it's just easier to jump over those roots and those holes to get down the track the fastest.
Thank you, Tristan. Yeah, I don't like those roots. Let's just jump over them. That's the kind of stuff you see from guys like Brooke McDonald, who's won the first 2 stops of the Crankworx World Tour so far this year. We'll be seeing him a little later on. Of course, we'll have our last rider dropping in, a guy who's looking to make it 5 in a row, Troy Brosnan. But right now, that gap of 6.26, there we go, that's the official word. Austin Warren in second place, Elliott Jackson in third by the blink of an eye. So, looking at my start list right here, I'm guessing the next rider we will see will be Roberto Castillo-Vaughan. What can you tell me about Roberto Castillo-Vaughan there, Andrew?
Well, not a whole lot, because he's new to our Crankworx World Tour. He's known for doing a couple street races. Hailing from Costa Rica, we've got a really wide variety of riders from different countries, and that's what makes Crankworx World Tour so special. It's lovely seeing all these guys come from different countries. We've got Colombia, we've got Argentina, there's Chile, there's Costa Rica, there's South Africa. So that, my friend, is Theo Erlandsen, and I do know him personally. He's from South Africa, so we are not going to see Roberto, unfortunately. So our 2019 national champion from South Africa, Theo Erlandsen, new to our Crankworx events as well. We haven't seen him here in Whistler in the pro division.
Well, he's looking,
So similar line to Bruce, but he's already lost 9 seconds. So Theo is trying to break out on the World Cup scene. He's had some good qualifications, showing some good speed even at World Champs, and not afraid of big jumps, doing potentially some of the biggest jumps in the world ever at a lot of the loose fits events. So Theo, hailing from South Africa. Got a fancy new Monster helmet, so he's getting some backing from them, which is great to see. It's tough for a privateer to race against some of the best riders in the world. They have mechanics, they have all sorts of things that help them just pretty much lay down their best run that they can. So visually a little bit slower there. He's almost 6 kilometers slower than our fastest rider that's sitting in the hot seat. That's Bruce Klein. So Theo, coming off a 2019 National Champs victory, new to the Crankworx events.
Yeah,
throwing
there
a
we
little
go.
toboggan for the boys.
So Theo Erlandsen, your countryman there, not able to threaten the time of Bruce Cook, but putting on a little show for the crowd here at Crankworx. They love it, but Bruce Klein safely and comfortably hanging out in that hot seat.
Sigh of relief for Bruce Klein. As another rider comes down.
So this is your countryman. I'm sure you guys are friends. If you're looking back at this replay, Andrew, what would you advise that he did a little bit differently?
Well, I like what he did there, but he was a little bit late on that braking, and here he's a little bit hesitant before each of the drops. So that's kind of playing.
It's a long
you
race.
can see that it's a problem when you're hesitant.
It's tough to just see one moment and break down where he lost 11 seconds. But we focus our attention back up to the start of the course. Next rider. This is going to be Mario Jose Harin from Ecuador.
So respectable. I mean, he's within touch, similar to what Theo was. We haven't seen him at a Crankworx event since 2010 when he came here to So looking solid here as he exits the woods. And he's just lost so much time. So interesting setup for him. You can see how wide, opting for a high front end. Clearly wanted to get some of the weight off his hands and into his feet.
So perhaps a motocross background. You see a lot of riders from motocross opting for that high-rise bar setup to try to mimic the riding position you see on a dirt bike. But out of Ecuador, what a diverse and world-class crowd we have out here. Costa Rica, Ecuador, of course. We're going to push through our start list and start getting into those Southern Hemisphere riders. We also have some Canadians for the local fans out here, but Mario Jose Harin through the line, 14 seconds back, good enough for 14th place so far.
It's a respectable ride for the man from Ecuador. It's great to see him back at these Crankworx events. Hopefully we'll see some more of him.
Well, Bruce Klein telling stories of his run, a run that zipped through. It only took less than 3 minutes, but he'll be thinking about every single line he chose, every rock he decided to gap over as he watches all these competitors try to knock him off of that pedestal. The next in the gate right now from New Zealand, a rider who's been racing a lot of enduro, Matt Walker.
3 top 10s in the EWS in 2019. Known more for his ADH skill set, comes from a BMX background, but really coming into his own in the world circuit. For that Pivot Factory Racing, managed by rider himself, Bernard Kerr, who's out with an injury, so he is back. He's 8 seconds back. What was Bruce Klein doing at the top of this course? He is putting some big time gaps into incredible riders here.
Pedaling in the outside here, whipping, scrubbing that, little tag. Look, if you see him on the pedal stick, he's a little bit back, so you don't see him slacking.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit nervous here, Andrew. I gave you that prediction guarantee that we'd have an all Southern Hemisphere podium, but Bruce Klein seems to be just putting almost double digits in seconds on these guys. And I mean, we have a lot of racers to go, and my Southern Hemisphere Kiwis and Aussies are coming up soon. But this time of Bruce Klein definitely holding tough.
So Matt Walker not going to be able to challenge the time of Bruce Klein. Bruce Klein, like you said, potentially going to upset the Southern Hemisphere podium sweep that we spoke about. 10 seconds back for Matt Walker, slots him into 7th.
So Bruce Klein getting nice and cozy. He's reclining in that hot seat. A lot of racers to go. We've got Brendan Fairclough, Sam Blankensop, Mick Hanna, G. Atherton, Mark Wallace, Brooke McDonald, Troy Brosnan still coming. So I'd say, yeah, don't get too cozy there. But man, from what we've seen so far, it's a scorcher of a run. Next racer with a chance to knock Bruce Klein out, Gaetan Ruffin.
Yeah, Bruce might want to call in for some sunscreen because I have a sneaky feeling he's going to be in that hot seat till the bitter end here, potentially notching up another podium. Gaetan Ruffin, so-so year on the World Cups this season for Commensal Van Noord team. He's back as well. Bruce Klein setting a blistering time, especially to the first split, and then just putting the hammer down through this rooty section. So that's the different line. The longer way around, I would say a little bit of the easier route, but you need to carry a lot of speed if you're going to go for these wide lines. So Gaetan, have not seen him here at the Crankworx event in Whistler yet. So making his debut here, which is tough. On a course like this, you don't get a lot of practice at some of these Crankworx events. It's fast, it's furious, there's a lot of events. You've got to spread your time thin. You've got to put a lot of practice in. So you don't always have the experience and the knowledge of these tracks.
Look at this, another case of just double-digit seconds separating the rider on course with the rider in the hot seat. Expect this action to heat up as we get into the meat of our start list here. But Gaetan Ruffin, another rider not able to threaten the time, currently held by Bruce Klein.
Bruce Klein opted for 29 wheels, and you could see it paying off there in those rough, rooty sections, holding speed, able to float over some of those routes and just not getting hung up at all.
So into 28th place so far there for Gaetan Ruffin, Bruce Klein. As you said, that hot seat is getting real hot there. It's a nice day here. BC, August, no shade. Let's get this guy an umbrella.
So there you have it, still at the top. Klein, 2:40.5 seconds there. Austin Warren, he's over 6 seconds back. Elliot Jackson just behind him.
So, Shangshan Chang just continuing on this streak of having downhill racers from all over the world. Your next rider on course.
It's not called the World Tour for nothing. Focusing on EWS the last 2 years, this man, the 2018 Asian Continental Champion, he is back as well. We're going to keep saying that. Choosing to S that section, losing a bit of time there as well. So look for that time to become even bigger here. It's amazing to see all these international riders. He did race here back in 2017, but we haven't seen much of him apart from that.
So more of the same here as Shangshan Chang is approaching the final section of the course. 14.55 back. A good 4.25 kilometers per hour behind the top speed in that speed trap from Bruce Klein. All the data we're getting on screen, these split times, the speed trap, is showing how fast that run was from Bruce Klein. And of course, the moments that we got to catch on camera showed an aggressive approach. And that's what we're gonna need to see from any rider who wants to take the win out from under Bruce Klein today. 17 seconds back, good enough for 20th place for Shangshan Chang. My favorite name to say out of the entire start list today.
You do enjoy a little bit of a tongue twister, Cam. I was almost going to guarantee that you were going to mess that one up.
How now, brown cow. So Bruce Klein, 6 seconds ahead of Austin Warren, who's the next closest rider in our Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS as we work our way through our start list. An exciting rider coming up next, a guy you're no stranger to, Andrew.
Well, none other than Brendan Faircloth. Scott DH Factory, we've got him on screen
course
already. I saw him this morning. We haven't got a split time, but he is motivated. There's a new line for you. So Brendan Faircloth, he's 3.68 seconds back. Wow, that is testament to the run that Bruce Klein has put in. Brendan had a rough practice this morning. He managed to hit a rider that was in the way on track, looking at lines. He had another crash down the steep section, so can he pull back any time? Bouncing back from lackluster few years on that new bike, managed a 6th position in Leger.
Hey, at least it's not double digits here when the split time came up.
No, he's within touch of Austin Warren here, so 6 seconds back. Wow, Bruce Klein, we might have been joking a bit in the booth here, but that run was no joke.
So I had Brendan Fairclough on my fantasy team right here. It looks like this time will be fast enough. He goes inside there, fast enough to threaten the podium, not the top spot, but will he roll into 2nd place, knocking Austin Warren out of that silver medal territory. So here we go.
Coming down to the line, what will it say? So into 4th position, 7 seconds back, so respectable for a man. All the fans are happy to see him at the top end of the field again, challenging in qualification and even the finals in these World Cup and Crankworx events again.
Well, great to see. You know, things are heating up here after a few riders sliding into the 20th place range. Brendan Fairclough cracking the top 5. So an exciting rider coming up next. A Canadian rider who had a great result here last year. I'm talking about Magnus Manson.
And he had a similar riding style and confidence to the man Bruce Klein. So will he be able to challenge? Will his riding style suit this track again?
Oh, he is so fun to watch.
Magnus Manson, he's in touch here, folks. He's up, 0.42. Different line there for him. This is where he excelled last year. Carrying good speed here. He hopped this last year. A little bit messy. Oh, that's a mistake. That is a mistake from him, but not losing that much time. But look for that time, I think, to go in the red here, Cam.
Magnus Manson coming off of a bronze medal just a year ago in the green at our first split. Now Bruce Klein, something to stare at this big screen for.
So will that mistake cost him how much?
Oh.
Yes. So he's down a second. Unfortunately, pushing the front end there.
Look at that reaction from Bruce. Oh,
But
right.
Magnus was fast, so can he pick it up down the bottom? It's only a second that he needs to pull back here. Third at the Canadian National Champs this year as well. Second in Air DH last year. So an all-round rider as well.
So Magnus Manson, the closest rider we've seen in a long time to the current spot held by Bruce Klein right now. What will the time be? It's gonna be close. Outside of the top time, good enough for second place right now, back by 1.77. Now, as he revisits that run in his head, thinking back to where he may have lost some time, let's go check out a replay.
Oh, just running wide, leaving the braking a little bit too late, and then pushing the front wheel. He is gonna not be able to sleep tonight, Cam. If he could pull back just that mistake, I think he could have slotted into first position.
Well, Magnus Manson was up before that mistake right there, now sliding into second place by 1.77 behind Bruce Klein. I think we're getting into some action here. Magnus Manson bringing up our beats per minute. And the next racer, continuing our Canadian trend right now, Kirk McDowell.
So second in the Canadian National Champs in 2019 this season. Seventh here last year, so has some speed on this track. Kirk McDowell had a great result last year, a lot of time in the hot seat, so he's only 1.79 back and carrying good speed here. That was better than Magnus. Clean through the section with a mistake. So this is committed from Kirk McDowell. So brought that Junior Da Vinci machine. Kirk McDowell, can he pull back any time, or is Bruce Klein just too quick in that Rooty section?
Kirk McDowell back by 1.22 here, so we're close.
But good speeds to the speed trap. So carrying good momentum there, 46 km an hour. That's similar to Bruce Klein, wasn't it, Cam?
It is, but this late in the game here, already with the finish line within reach, he's looking for second or third. I don't think he's going to make up that 1.22 here with only this much course left to go.
No, that no joke of a run by Bruce Klein. He did not let up into the finish. He was one of the fastest guys through the jumps as well. So time ticking by. It slips by. It's not going to be enough. Second position for Kirk McDowell. What a great run. 1.26 seconds back.
And I mean, if you think about the difference between second and third right now, you're talking about fractions of a second. But Bruce Klein, as these bullets land closer and closer to where he's sitting on that hot seat, things are heating up. Kirk McDowell into second place. But I'm excited about the next rider we have in the gate here. Well, our 2018 King of Crankworx, the New Zealand rider. We're getting into that Southern Hemisphere pack in our start list. Will Sam Blankensop be able to take the glory out from under Bruce Klein right now? He's an aggressive rider. We saw that aggressive approach pan out for Bruce Klein.
Well, Daniel Series winner from last year. But he's new to fatherhood, so Sam Blankensop just has had a newly born. He's 1.43 seconds back, so clearly getting some sleep. So he's got the family here with him. I asked him, how on earth are you sleeping? He said, no, just earplugs. You know, the normal chilled New Zealand style answering a question, not serious at all. He said, I don't see any issue. I got earplugs. I'm getting on with my business. So Sam Blankensop looking to get back to last year's form. Obviously had to take a little bit of priority away from all the racing at Crankworx. Hard on the pedals here. Time is ticking by. We don't have that second split here. Bruce Klein, our current hot seat leader, with a huge run here. Could this be another breakout result for him?
So Sam Blankensop behind at split number one, but not by much. Within reach of top three. Contention here.
Fourth position here last year. Sam Blankensop, your reigning King of Crankworx. Your reigning World Downhill Tour here at Crankworx. What will this year give him?
Oh, Sam Blankensop into fourth place, outside of podium contention, but a respectable time here for Sam Blankensop. Now let's take a look at this leaderboard that just keeps changing. Every rider we have dropping in. Digest this for me, Andrew.
Well, there you have it. Bruce Klein, a storming run in 240. Kirk McDowell, respectable as well. Magnus Manson, he's in third, and we just saw Sam Blenkinsop slot into fourth.
Well, when we come back, Mick Hanna, we talked about him earlier. We saw his sister win for the women just moments ago as we watch our top run right now from Bruce Klein. Top riders coming up after the break. Don't go away.
Experience the all-new Trigger FF. The lightest mountain bike full-face helmet available. Combines open-face breathability and ventilation. The Trigger FF. Lightweight full-face protection. Available in stores around the world.
Kokanee Glacier Fresh Beer. Well, one of these racers will be celebrating with Kokanee Glacier Fresh Beer in short order here, as we have only 9 competitors left to go in the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS. Current standings look like this, Andrew.
Well, there you have it. No surprise. Bruce Klein, he's still in the hot seat. Kirk McDowell, and followed narrowly by Magnus Manson.
So this is the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS. iXS with a lot of their athletes out here gunning for top honors and points and prize money. The 2017 King of Crankworx is one of them, Adrian Lerone.
Hi everyone, I'm Adrian Lerone. We are here at Crankworx Whistler, and we've been racing all week. I did 5 events. This is the last day of Crankworx, this Canadian Open. This year at Crankworx, the full face is mandatory for all the events. Hopefully iXS just come with a brand new Trigger FF, which is the lightest full face on the market. When I choose a helmet, for sure I'm looking for the style and the design. It's very nice to look good, but it's not everything. I'm for sure looking for safety. This one is pretty resistant because it's carved in one piece, and it's adjustable, really ventilated, so it's just the best for all the long events like enduro, garbo, And also really cool to have a very light helmet like this one for the pound track and speed and style, for example. Also looking about comfort and feeling good inside. So I think it's the perfect balance for a full face.
So, time to get back to racing. With only 9 riders left to go, we got a very exciting one on course right now. Mick Hanna.
18th year on the World Series here. Mick Hanna, what a legend of our sport. Struggling a bit with his form here, but he did bounce back with a 4th in Innsbruck to help that confidence.
So 6 seconds back, 3 kilometers slower in the speed trap. Bruce Klein looking good as we get into the top 10 of our start list here.
So we've seen riders like Bruce Klein, he opted for 29-inch wheels. Mick Hanna himself opting for the mullet. That's 29er in the front, 27 in the back, similar to what Brendan Faircloth does. So Mick Hanna, like we said, gaining a little bit of confidence from Innsbruck. Where is he going to slot into 8th position? He's 7 seconds back. So that run from Bruce Klein, every guy that he notches off is just looking more and more impressive here.
It's insane. I mean, we got close here. 2nd and 3rd within a couple seconds. But to see a top racer like Mick Hanna not threaten that top time, you know, it just goes to show how fast Bruce Klein was riding today. But another top rider in the start gate right now as we bring things up to the top of the Canadian Open downhill course. This is Marcelo Gutierrez Villegas.
A winner of this race previously in 2014. Marcelo, the king of Garbanzo. He's won that race more times than I can even remember. This year, he's riding nowhere near his potential, though. He had some amazing seasons the last few years. Just struggling a little bit with form, but that's pretty normal in downhill racing. So 5 seconds back. So within touch with the top 5 riders here. So Marcelo brought a prototype Giant 29er there. This is the 2nd version of this bike. They said there are no rush to release it or rush this project, so it's cool for their riders to be able to give feedback, see what works, put it under race conditions, and then at the end of the day, the consumer wins because they've got one of the best machines ridden by some of the best riders in the world that have tested it.
So you spoke about it a lot so far. Bruce Klein riding that 29er. Seems to be working out. Explain the benefits of that on a course like this.
Well, Cam, as we saw, there are a lot of square edge bumps, there are roots, there's a lot of things that you're trying to hold speed on and not get bogged down in the hole. So 29 inches got way better rollover. You actually get less fatigue from it as well. But it depends on the rider. It depends on his size, his style, and that's the cool, exciting thing about downhill here. It's not just one that fits all. So 10th position for Marcelo, 8 seconds back, respectable for him. He'll still be scratching his head. I know he expects more from himself.
So there is such thing as smart riding out there. That's how you find yourself on the podium. But there's also such thing as dumb spectating. Take a look at this. This spectator crosses the course at the worst moment possible. Marcelo barely missing that. I mean, a trespasser, yeah.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to go between the tape. That is reserved for these riders. They're wearing helmets.
Wow, that could have been way worse. So luckily, no one injured there and no one hit. See him speaking to the crew there.
So
that could have been way uglier than it was.
He's got to be laughing about that. We don't need pedestrians on the downhill course.
I'm scared. Like, if you have nothing.
But take a look at Marcelo right now. Yeah, you mentioned he's riding those 29-inch wheels. It's a very rough course, so it helps to be able to smash over those holes. But if you just jump through these sections, it can't hurt either, can it?
No. So looking to jump over that line, but he's also kind of jumped in the bank because it's a higher, kind of a position to land. Good execution from Marcelo. A little bit tentative though before it was to make that line happen, and that's the problem going for a tech line like that.
So, Marcelo Gutierrez has won the Garbanzo downhill so many times in the past. He didn't win it this year. That went to Mitch Ropelato, and he's not going to take the Canadian Open downhill here as Bruce Klein gets cozy. This was the run that did it for him so far. We've got a few riders left.
So you can see visually carrying more speed, visually more committed, and he was just so light on his feet, not getting bogged down by all the bumps.
So for the past 5 years, we've had Troy Brosnan drop in last, and he was able to give us the climax of this race that is always exciting when you're watching top level downhill. You get the fastest, most awarded rider to go last when there's point series or when there's just an individual streak going. And Troy Brosnan, can he do it again for the 5th year in a row? Now, Tristan Merrick's hanging out in the finish line corral. I'm sure he's been picking up all kinds of tidbits of info for us. Let's send it down for an update from Tristan Merrick.
Well, you guys keep hitting the nail on the head. It's that steep section right there where Bruce Klein put in all the time. And Needles, you're breaking down. You can just see how tentative people are, whereas Bruce was flowing like water through that section. So I guess as the holes are getting bigger, people are riding a little tighter, holding onto the brakes, which means they're falling in and getting more fatigued and slowing down.
So we saw on screen, thank you, Tristan. We saw on screen Ed Masters dropping in. It looks like we skipped a rider, not going to see Charlie Hatton. But Ed Masters already down by 5 seconds.
So he's second at round 2 in Innsbruck. Great downhill result for him. Eddie Masters becoming quite the all-round rider, focusing a lot of attention on EWS. He's sitting second in that series after a win at round 5. But like we just mentioned, he's no slouch on the downhill circuit. He's got top 10s at World Cups, second in Innsbruck. A little bit back though, 6.3 seconds. Are these riders willing to lay it on the line with world champs coming up? Someone like Bruce Klein, feeling like he can maybe get a huge result here by laying it a bit more on the line than some of these other riders. You saw how committed he was. So Eddie Masters celebrating his birthday this week in Whistler. How much of a distraction was that for him?
Does Ed Masters celebrate?
No, not at all. Ed Masters would never do such a thing, especially in Whistlers. But back to racing here. What will the time say? So 7 seconds back, slots into 9th position. Respectable. And we know he's got his eyes set on that EWS series. Can someone that has so much fun on a bike till he puts the helmet on win such a huge series like that?
So Andrew, let's take this opportunity to compare some lines. Let's take the run we just saw from Eddie Masters and pair it up against the fastest run we've seen so far today from Bruce Klein. Now this is Eddie Masters riding through one of these wooded technical sections.
So there we have it. Eddie Masters opting for the low, longer line. That's the easier line. But now, look at this line. He's hopping there, so he's missing roots, and he's able to hold that tight, straight line. Now, so that done correctly is a shorter distance, so anyone at home can understand that he's going to make up time by going the shorter distance, but at a similar speed.
And you heard it from him in that interview we had. You know, we can see right there visually that he's choosing lines that allow him to paint a shorter distance, but he's just jumping over sections that may pose trouble. You saw Ed Masters completely wind around that section, and Bruce Klein take a straight shot through the air, and that's why he's sitting in first place right now, 1.26 ahead of the next fastest competitor, Kirk McDowell. What an impressive ride so far. We have 5 racers left to go here in your Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS. And judging by my start list, there he is, Dakota Norton, the American. You never know, this kid pushes so hard. Sometimes it ends up giving him a great result. Sometimes the train falls off the tracks. What will we have today in 2019?
Well, Dakota Norton, he was flying at the first part of last season, and he's in touch, 1.68. That is easily doable on a track like this. There's still a lot of track to come. It gets a little less technical, tough to make up ground. A little bit pushy and hesitant in that turn. And like you said, the train did come off the tracks at Innsbruck last year. Huge crash for him, damaging his shoulder, but he had a breakout kind of start to the season. It was great to see. Is that confidence back?
Well, it's great to see him healthy, and it's great to see him close to that top time right there. Just under 2 seconds behind Bruce Klein.
So he's further into the red there, almost 2 seconds back. Bruce Klein, we know how fast he was. It was visually impressive. So Dakota Norton trying to get back to some of that form he had last year. Confidence is such a fickle thing at the top end of the sport.
Dakota Norton holding this run together. Great to see him healthy. Great to see him aggressive Where will he slot in? 4th place, just over 2 seconds back behind the top time there. So a very respectable ride for Dakota Norton.
Yeah, that'll start helping with some of the confidence, being able to put down a clean run. Only 2 seconds back from Bruce, and I really feel like he's going to slot himself into a podium position.
So let's roll back the footage here. This one corner in particular gave Magnus Manson a little bit of trouble. It gave Dakota Norton a little bit of trouble as well. It gets narrow. It's easy to put your front tire over. Earlier in the race, we saw this from Magnus Manson, who was up at the first split, almost washing out.
Yeah, so you can see how narrow and steep it is coming into these guys. They're committed, so they're leaving their braking late. And the problem with that is you start braking in the turn, the bike wants to stand up, and as you can see, he's pushed the front wheel over the berm there.
Well, looking at my start list here, we got a heavy rider loaded up in the gate, ready to make his bid at the Canadian Open downhill. Let's listen in to what Dakota's saying here.
So I think he's had a crash up on course. So he's just explaining about smashing his helmet into potentially his stem. So Charlie Hatton, who we didn't get to see, clearly having a problem up there. So unfortunate for him.
So a little eavesdropping there on Charlie Hatton. But you see the bike he's riding. Nice little segue for our next rider up in the gate. The man, the myth, the legend, G. Atherton.
So solid results this year, but guys, we are talking about a multi-world champion. You can't tell me that he's happy with some of these results he's putting together. How much focus has it taken off his racing, launching a bike brand and doing the testing, the marketing, and all those things with his team? So G. Atherton, we're talking about launching Atherton bikes. What an incredible, incredible accomplishment to get that bike done so quickly.
A lot on the plate for all the members of the Atherton family here, but G. Atherton looking to put that new bike bearing his name on the podium here.
So G. Atherton, one of the most decorated downhillers of the modern era. Multiple world champion, as we spoke about. Age is starting to creep up for him. Injuries as well. It's tougher to come back from injuries at age. There's no arguing that.
Well, great to see G. Atherton healthy right now. It's going to be exciting to see him at Red Bull Rampage in just a couple months now. In October, he just recently got the invitation. It's been quite a while since we saw him on the slopes of Virgin, Utah.
Oh,
Looks
mistake from him. Something's happened off camera there. So G. Atherton not going to have the run he wanted here. But Cam, that is going to be exciting, seeing another racer put his name in the hat for Rampage. And that shows you, I mean, I remember back in the day, it was impressive to see a racer go there. It's testament to how much guts he has.
So a former world champ, I'm sure he'll be focusing his sights on world champs coming up in a couple weeks, and then we'll then see him in the Utah desert for Red Bull Rampage. Unfortunately, not going to be a podium finish there for G. Atherton. But right now the podium looks like this. Magnus Manson, Kirk McDowell, Bruce Klein, and the run that did it for him, it's been holding up all day. Bruce Klein gapping over those roots, painting all the straight lines, making mincemeat out of this Canadian Open course.
This replay is not getting old, Cam. I love watching this. I love seeing the commitment. Really aggressive riding, and he had his bike set up working well as well. Huge run, and we've only got 3 riders left, and he's still sitting in that hot seat.
Oh, 3 riders left, huh? Let's take a look at who. Mark Wallace, Brooke McDonald, and the man who's won it the last 4 years, Troy Brosnan. Yeah, I'll stick around for that. So I'm gonna have to call myself out here though. You're looking at how many people are left and what the podium looks like right now. I don't know if we're gonna get that Southern Hemisphere sweep.
Well, Cam, I think it's testament to a little bit of a gambling problem that's creeping in here in the broadcast booth for you. You like to bet on some of the not so strong odds, but it makes it exciting. It gives us something to talk about. And you know what? There was a good chance for it. There really was. The Southern Hemisphere riders are riding incredibly well. But Bruce Klein,
no risk, no reward.
What result is he going to get today? There are only 3 left. Mark Wallace. I'm excited to see this run. He was 5th here last year and in 2017.
Mark Wallace on course.
He just quietly goes about his business. I spoke to him before the race. He's sitting in 10th position in the World Cup Series. There we have it, 1.45 back. So a little bit of the damage is done already.
Quick. Definitely the rider who lets his riding speak for him. This is a course that he knows very well.
So mentored by the late Stevie Smith, we have to speak about Stevie here. Tragic, tragic news with the passing of Stevie Smith, and Mark Wallace doing his best to pay respects and honor to the man that did so much for his career. But Mark Wallace is his own rider at the moment. And like you said, he just quietly goes about his business, ticks off those results after results.
Oh, see the reaction from Bruce Klein right there. The third to last rider dropping in, and he's over 2 seconds back at that last split. A big smile right now on the face of Bruce Klein as he has now solidified himself a podium finish. So Mark Wallace, it's not going to take the top spot right now, but where will he land on the leaderboard? Mark Wallace through the line. 3 seconds back, good enough for 6th place. So we did catch some mistakes that might hint at why he lost so much time between first and second split. Take a look.
So let's have a look. He's opted for that wide line, and then it pushes you outside here where he's had to snake. So he's going to lose time there because that's where Bruce Klein was managing to go straight into that left-hander.
Yeah, easier said than done, being able to ride straight through that section. Obviously, it goes back to the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, if you can hold on.
Yeah, struggling to that tricky left as well, standing the bike up, losing a bit of forward momentum there as well. Great visuals here that shows you how rough and square edge the bumps are on this track. So bike setup is also key.
Bruce Klein smiling now, but he knows the next rider in the gate is a rider who is undefeated so far in this 2019 Crankworx World Tour. He's won the first 2 stops in the downhill discipline. His name is Brooke McDonald, and we're on pins and needles right now, waiting to see him take his turn at this Canadian Open downhill course. The time to beat, 240.5. It's been standing up all day, but if anybody's going to knock it out, it's going to be these last 2 competitors. The ones we were talking about ad nauseum at the start of the show, Brooke McDonald and Troy Brosnan. Here we go. Brooke McDonald, we got him on screen in the gate.
So the tense moments before you set off on your downhill run. Brooke McDonald looking to clinch this downhill Crankworx World Tour here. He's the current leader. But what is he going to have to say to Bruce Klein? It looks like he's down. He's 2.45 down. A little bit different line. He went wide and then he came back to the inside with a little hop. But Brooke McDonald is 2.4 down. That is a huge amount of time to make up on the lower slopes of the Crankworx course here.
Wow, Brooke McDonald back at the split. More of the same here that we've been seeing all day. Bruce Klein.
He's put an absolute stormer in. We thought Brooke McDonald was going to be the man to take down Troy Brosnan. Well, it looks like it's going to be someone else. 3.21 down. Bruce Klein looking safe in that hot seat. This is a huge breakout result for him. A guaranteed second position if Brooke McDonald cannot pull back any of this time, and 3 seconds is near impossible.
Yep, at this point, he's already riding alongside the Joyride course. He's not going to make up 3 seconds, so there will be no sweep of the 2019 Crankworx Downhill Series. Brooke McDonald went 1-1. Where will he sit right now? Through the line, good enough for 7th place.
So a bit disappointing for Brooke McDonald, but he will clinch that world title. What a year. 2 wins out of 3 events for Brooke McDonald. We haven't seen him at this course for a few years, and that's clearly paying off for Bruce Klein, has been racing here a bit, and Troy Brosnan obviously has raced here a lot.
Brooke was obviously hoping to make it 3 in a row, but let's hear where his head's at right now as he catches his breath, Tristan.
That's right, Brooke McDonald, you swept the first 2 races of the Crankworx World Tour, coming in here with a fair bit of pressure on you. Unfortunately, coming up a bit short, but that being said, you have wrapped up the Crankworx Downhill Championship title. How does that feel?
I mean, would have been nice to do the 3-peat, but I've been struggling with a sinus infection this week, so it's been pretty tough to, try and ride this track and put everything together, but yeah, it's all good. I'm yeah, pretty happy with the overall, so can't complain.
Well, it's been a couple of years since we've seen you, so obviously stoked to have Brooke McDonald back in the fold here at Crankworx Whistler as we wrap things up. And obviously, he just wrapped up that overall title as well, boys.
Thank you, Tristan. Brooke McDonald making it happen on the overall right now. But one rider left to go, a rider with a lot on the line here. He would love to repeat what Tracy Hanna did earlier on in our broadcast by winning 5 for herself. Troy Brosnan would love to make it 5 in a row, but he's going to have to beat the time by Bruce Klein, a 2:40.5. Now Troy Brosnan doing his typical program in the start gate right there, arms over the head, eliminating that arm pump. Troy Brosnan on course.
This is going to be exciting, going for the 5P. Can he get to 5? This is close though, he's out, 1.45. So similar line to Brooke McDonald. And there you have it, another new line for us.
Completely missed the outside of that break.
This
We
is
saw everybody
fast. I
take.
think he's going to increase this gap on Bruce Klein. He's so solid, he's so consistent, but I know he's hungry for this win. I asked him, is he going to play it safe because World Champ's coming up? He said, no ways, I'm going for the 5P. He's been testing a lot as well. He's on his data acquisition bike, so he's actually racing the bike and collecting data in a race run scenario. 1.49. So he's maintained that lead, but not putting any more into Bruce Klein.
Bruce Klein shaking his head right now.
So Troy Brosnan, they tested a 29-inch front wheel. He didn't like it. He's gone back to his 27 front wheel, and it's paying off. He's back to his old ways. Oh, losing the back end there. Troy Brosnan going for the 5P. Incredible feat here in Whistler.
Oh, it's going to be close. Troy Brosnan, can he do it? Can he make it 5 in a row here in Whistler?
He
Canadian
does it,
Open.
Cam. He's won it. 1.5 seconds up. What a feat. All that pressure on his shoulders. He was hungry for it, and he delivers. What a consistent, incredible rider that is.
Deja vu, deja vu. This is the absolute king of this Canadian Open downhill course. Troy Brosnan going 5 years in a row.
Wow, Cam, wow indeed, Cam. I think we're actually speechless. Bruce Klein put up a proper fight, but Troy Brosnan, how confident is he on this track? He just knows that if he puts down a clean, fast run, he's probably going to win.
He makes it look different, and I mean, we should expect this because we've seen it the past 5 years in a row, but you got to look at some of these subtleties in this run. I mean, just gapping over things, choosing lines that we haven't seen any riders take. Right here's an example.
Yeah, so look at this. He goes wide, but instead of snaking and losing a bit of momentum, he opts to go high, so that's the shortest distance to get over this off cam. But looks where he comes on track. That's the shortest distance by a mile, but look how much speed he's managing to carry.
Now, obviously,
so smart riding from Troy Brosnan, really good line selection.
That's it. The body is responding to the plans the brain is making, and he has some secrets out on this course. He has this race down to a science. So many great line choices out there, but the ability to actually execute those at speed after sitting up at the top of the course for so long, watching rider after rider, not able to knock Bruce Klein out of that hot seat. So, Troy Brosnan is hanging out victorious in the finish corral. Let's catch up with him, Tristan.
Troy Brosnan, obviously, you just rewrote the history books. It's never happened in Crankworx history. 5 consecutive wins here at the Canadian Open DH. What's the secret, man? What are you doing up there on that course?
I don't know. I really like this course, and it's amazing to go 5 in a row. I really wanted it and felt the nerves today, so I'm just excited. It's so much fun riding in Crankworx and on this track, and amazing once again, and just having fun. That's all it is.
Well, you called this place home for a little bit. I mean, what is so special about the environment and the fans?
It's just a massive crowd, you know. It's a big festival, and everyone comes to have fun, party, and watch some bike racing. So, yeah, it's just an amazing atmosphere to have, and all the people up in the woods were amazing, just yelling as loud as they can. I got a bit loose for them, so that was good, but yeah, just an amazing time.
Well, again, you guys, he's done the unthinkable. 5 consecutive wins in a row for the Canadian Open downhill. The target's on the back already. Will it be 6 in 2020?
He's like, you know what? Let me just celebrate this for a minute. We'll talk about 2020 in due time. What an impressive ride out there. Bravo, Troy Brosnan. Bruce Klein holding on all day, but settling for that second place spot, 1.5 seconds back. Kirk McDowell, the Canadian, wrapping up that third place right there. Well, plenty to talk about. What a great day of racing out here in the Canadian Open Downhill, presented by iXS. Post-show coming up. Don't go away. Whistler Mountain Bike Park. Ride now, sleep later. So in the women's category here at the Canadian Open Downhill presented by iXS, it was the 5th win for Tracy Hanna. Men's category, 5th in a row for Troy Brosnan. Things that at the top of the show we knew were possible, but almost unthinkable. What do you think about being able to perform under pressure like those two athletes did today?
Well, I think that's the key thing. It's one thing going fast, it's one thing having the skill, but be able to do it when there's only one run on the line, and he's done it 5 times in a row. It's just incredible. I don't understand it, because honestly, many other riders wouldn't be able to withstand that pressure.
So 2 times in a row here today, we had our final rider on course take the win. In the women's category, of course, it was Tracy Hanna, but very exciting to see the junior Valentina Hall, A, on the start list for the elite women field, but B, look at where she landed.
Yeah, slotted into 2nd position. Miriam Nicole had a fighting chance as well, but opted to play it safe with her injury. And Tracy Hanna, she said, let's slow down a bit. You're still a junior, our time still.
So for the men, all day, it was all about Bruce Klein. But all day, we were thinking about one guy who's going to be the last to drop. What do you think about this 1.5 he was able to put on Bruce Klein?
Yeah, Bruce Klein's run, when he came through into camera, I mean, it was incredible how fast he was going, visually faster than some of the other riders. And Troy Brosnan to be able to put 1.5 into him after we thought that could potentially be a winning run, incredible. And again, you mentioned it, to literally deliver under pressure 5 times in a row, it's incredible.
So a lot of pressure was on Brooke McDonald. He ended up slotting into 8th place, of course, battling that sinus infection. Can't be easy sprinting your bike down a hill over rocks and roots with, inability to breathe right there. 2 minutes and 40 seconds of it. But the downhill championship standings didn't disappoint here for the women's category. Of course, Tracy Hanna winning all 3. You win 100 points for each race, so she had a perfect 300 right there. closest rider was all the way back with 120 points, Camille Blanche. But talking about Brooke McDonald, 8th place there, battling through that sinus infection, but with a win to start the season and a win in the middle of the season, even that 8th place is going to have him at the top of those rankings. Take a look at where the chips fell for the downhill championship standings. Brooke McDonald, 232 points. He was hoping to see 300 there, but Troy Brosnan getting the win here today, 100 points. Dean Lucas finished with 100 points, but Ed Masters, pretty cool to see this big old tie for second place here. All three of these riders getting 100 points for a tie for second place. But I mean, what a ridiculous season. We could talk about how ridiculous this race was. We could digest the past 5 days of competition, but this is the final of 3 stops in our 2019 season. And one thing is for sure, we cannot wait to do it all over again in 2020. King of Crankworx for 2019, Mitch Ropelato. Queen of Crankworx via Verbeek. Big congrats and a thank you to all of our riders for coming out and giving it their all in the 2019 season. Only 7 months until we're doing it all over again. It's gonna be here before we know it. We'll be down in the Southern Hemisphere where it's getting cold up here, it's getting nice and loamy dirt down there in New Zealand. I gotta thank you all for watching, for tuning in all season across all of our disciplines, downhill, speed and style, slalom, slope style. I've been your host, Cam McCall. Andrew Needling's been beside me the whole way. Tyler McCall, Martin Soderstrom, of course, Matt Jones, Michaela Gatto, and Tristan Merrick. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in New Zealand.